Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people, rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective, it's a collective. Get to the bottom of the truth is, with our hearts uncovered. Boy, detox from all of the lies you smothered. What I'm trying to kill you, but with faith you recover. Yeah, peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so hard to reflect on all the juice like torture. It's on you, tell the truth.
Yeah, we about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Listen. Yeah, aim in the fit so you see in the mirror. Play with your focus and watch it get clear. Polish your crown, turn it up if you wear it. You live in the root, release what you're fearing. And watch it all rise, the righteous will hear it. They calling us twisted, I'm not even caring. Because it's unseen, the mind is too barren. They won't even heal it, they pass it to cheering. We over here healing, conversing and listening. Know that the truth isn't always appealing, but end it with healing and find your beginning. Frequency positive, what you receiving. Perception is up to you, what you believing. What you retrieving, mentally speaking. Like that they breathing, no words from a heathen. Don't know it all, but together undefeated. Conversation, rather want it, you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the trial with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation, rather want it, you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the trial with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Hey. Yeah. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Praying for truth cause the world is so fickle. Keeping my mental how clean as a whistle. Attention's a trap that can lead you astray. Sneering this shit through the storm and the haze. Real conversations are lost in the greed. Others get lost in the web that it weaves. Sift through the rhetoric, uncover schemes. Knowledge inherited, this is imperative. I got a lot on my mind and I'm sharing it. Apples to oranges, it ain't no comparisons. I'm the type that'll never break character. I'm the type to make memories and cherish them. Trust intuition and doubt of disparity. Pursuing the echoes of wisdom. Chasing that moment of clarity. Conversation rather one and you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the track with the students and teachers. All got a voice who the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation rather one and you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the track with the students and teachers. All got a voice who the ears that'll listen. Who the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen.
It's on you, tell the truth.
Peace. We're going to talk about childhood trauma aware, understanding, healing, and I am Universe Badger, also known as Kimberly Vertigan, for those that don't know me. I'm an integrative holistic health and somatic healing practitioner, and I am certified life coach and trauma-informed care certified professional. Tonight we're talking about childhood trauma, not only what happens to us, also what may have been missing when we needed it the most. Trauma can come from abuse, neglect, instability, witnessing violence, the words spoken to us, or experiences we weren't emotionally prepared to understand. Sometimes we don't recognize the impact until adulthood. We simply notice the difficulties in trusting, the need to stay guarded, the people pleasing, the shutting down, and the reaction we don't always understand. Tonight isn't about staying in the past or placing blame. It's about becoming aware of what we may have carried forward so we can better understand ourselves today. We are the ears that will listen and where your opinion matters. And Golden Eagle, could you please read the deeper meaning?
Absolutely. A child cannot always change their environment, so they learn how to adapt to it. Some become quiet, some become angry, some become the caretaker or peacekeeper, some disconnect, while others learn to constantly watch the people around them for signs of danger. What protects us during childhood can sometimes follow us into adulthood, even when we no longer need that same protection. So, as we begin tonight's conversation, maybe the question isn't only what happened to me, maybe we should also ask, what did I learn because of what happened? What did I learn about love, safety, trust, and myself? Because understanding where something began may help us understand why it continues. Let's have a good conversation.
Yes. And I'd like to say peace to Marley, aka grandson, aka divine sacred deer.
What's up, Marley?
All right. So the first question is, what is childhood trauma, and why can the same experience affect two children differently? And I'm going to ask grandson first. Grandson, what is childhood trauma, and how can the same experience affect two different children differently?
I think childhood trauma is something that happens at a young age that can stay within your mind, that can affect how you think, or how you learn based on what happened, and it can affect two different people based off of how they see it
Okay.
and how much they remember, or at least try to remember.
Okay. Okay. I like that answer. Uh, Golden Eagle, my eyes are really bad right now. What is childhood trauma, and why can the same experience affect two children differently?
I think Marley just summed it up pretty good. But yeah, childhood trauma, obviously, that could be different for anyone. Um, something, something that one person finds traumatic, one person might not even give a second thought to. So I don't know if I can put a definition on what it is because it's different for all of us. But and 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 why the experiences affect two people differently, I think are just as simple as people are different. That's why, you know.
Okay. For me, my answer would be childhood trauma is something that you weren't emotionally ready to take on as a child. It's something that you weren't prepared. You didn't have emotional regulation and you weren't prepared for that situation. And you're a child. Why would you be prepared for it? But it could be anything that affected you in a dramatic way, and you still haven't been able to resolve it or to come to come to terms with it. And why it can affect why it can affect children differently, two different children differently, is because, like Golden Eagle said, because they're different people. Some people can handle rejection and it not affect them in a negative manner. Other people see it as when you say no means that you don't want nothing to do with them and that you're rejecting their whole life. You don't love them because you said no. And one person might be okay with saying no, and the next person might be totally offended by just being said no. So two different people, two different feelings, two different ways of perceiving things. So in divine creation left and came back. So and then it left again. So we'll see. Uh Grandson, can trauma come from what happened to us as well as what we needed and never received?
Yeah. Because if you were to not get what you needed, you can feel the need to be not needing to be involved in something, so it'll make you more like, oh, I should probably, stay away from there. But if you get something traumatic to happen to you, I feel like it can do the same thing. So I say yeah.
Okay. So let me explain it to you in a little bit a different way. I mean, you got it pretty much good. But I just want to explain it a little bit differently. So, like love, if you didn't get love, the proper love, and you thought you needed love, or you didn't get to be heard properly and you thought you needed that to be heard. So, it could be also mean like even though that you experienced something traumatic, it also can be also just something that you didn't get that you felt that you needed. You didn't receive something you needed. Like you didn't have a nurturing parent that hugged you all the time. So now when someone comes up to you and wants to touch you, you're like, I'm not comfortable with being hugged because I'm not used to it. You received that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Golden Eagle, what would be your answer to this? Can trauma come from what happened to us as well as what we were needed and never received?
Yeah, absolutely, it can. It's if our needs are neglected, neglect can be traumatic. You know, and neglect comes in many different facets or forms. So yeah, when our needs aren't met, it can be very traumatic.
Peace, peace, divine creation.
Peace, peace. How y'all doing?
All is truly well on my
Good,
end.
good.
Grandson, how are you?
I'm doing good.
So, divine creation, can someone reach adulthood without realizing their childhood experiences are still affecting them?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. Ignorance is a bliss sometimes. A lot of times, it's you just think your issues come from something else until you get back to possibly it came from your childhood.
I have an experience that I'd like to share. And I've touched a little bit on it before, and I never touched too deeply on it. Taking accountability. I never really took accountability correctly. I always took accountability with making excuses also. Instead of just saying, yeah, this is what I did, I didn't, my bad. I would be like, well, this is why I did it, or this maybe I could do this and differently, and that try to lessen the blow of what I did do. But at the end of the day, it made it worse, and I didn't realize that until a few years ago. My sister, by the universe, Gina, mentioned to me and said to me that, do you realize you do this quite often? And I had to sit within myself, and she was correct. I did, and it made sense to me, and it was because it was something I was accustomed to that my biological mother did a lot. So it rubbed off onto me, and I didn't realize that I took that into my adulthood, and until she had me sit within myself to see it, and I'm just like, wow, that's heavy. And I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. Um, how about you, Golden Eagle? Do you think that someone reach adulthood without realizing their childhood experiences had affected them and it's still affecting them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I know I mentioned it before, but like I think I was like 30 or 35. I was somewhere in there anyway, maybe early 30s when I realized that I dealt with anxiety walking into a hospital, and and in fact, like just thinking about it, I actually remember my then wife had gallbladder surgery, and 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 I had dealt with anxiety anytime I walked into a hospital for years, and it never clicked until we were riding in the elevator. And when I was riding in the elevator, I kind of had a flashback to when I was a child and had gone up there to see my brother, and he had been severely burnt, and just how traumatic that was, and had never the thought never really crossed my mind, or I never connected the two, that I would, as an adult be dealing with this anxiety, almost like panic attacks, every time I go inside a hospital, until that moment when I had a flashback to when I was a kid riding up the elevator on my way to see my brother, and so yeah, it definitely does, because like you said, I was probably in my mid-30s when I finally realized or made the connection between the two, you know. So yeah, you definitely can. I have myself anyway.
Yeah.
So
Grandson, how can the words spoken to us as a child become the voice we eventually use when we're speaking to ourselves? Do you receive what
Uh,
that means?
yeah. Yeah, it kind of depends on what you're told by that voice. Because if you're told stuff like, you're not enough, or you aren't good enough to do this, then later on in life, whenever you're trying to speak to yourself, it'll make you feel like you're trying to degrade yourself, and it'll make you feel worse, and worse, no matter what you're trying to do.
I remember being told a lot when I was younger that, man, I wish I just didn't have you. I wish you weren't born. I wish, having you was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And as I got older, like grandson was saying, as I got older, I started thinking that I wasn't like wanted, and I was only good for whatever I was good for, because like that's what I was told a lot as I was younger. And I didn't realize that I would tell myself, that's because you shouldn't be here. That's because you're not good enough. And I was degrading myself because of what somebody else was saying to me constantly when I was younger. And then it took me a long time, a long time. I'm going to say probably 5 years now. I've just learned to start loving myself correctly, and to stop looking at myself through my eyes, so that I could really see myself through my eyes, because I was seeing what other people saw, and the ideal in my head of what the lack I was. I wasn't my sister, I wasn't this, I wasn't that, until I really sat with myself and realized that none of those agreements are mine, and none of them are true. It was because somebody else told me, because they were hurting and they wanted me to match their hurt, or they didn't want to be hurting alone, or they didn't know no better. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I really had to do some soul searching, some shadow work, and some digging deep within myself to realize that it was all bullshit. It was just what somebody else said. So, Golden Eagle, can the words spoken to us really as a child, do you think they can eventually, we can use them to ourselves when we speak to ourselves?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's you constantly hear the same thing. Eventually, you start believing it, even if you don't believe it. It becomes, yeah, you can for sure. I think even as an adult, we can. I mean, it's just kind of basic human psychology. If we hear the same thing over and over and over and over again, we might reject it. We might not buy into it the first time, but a million times later, it starts carrying weight, or starts holding truth to us for some reason. It's that power of repetition.
Mm, yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Divine creation. Can behaviors we consider part of our personality actually begin as childhood survival responses?
Yeah, it could intentionally or subconsciously become something that you carried over from childhood. It definitely can.
My thing was apologizing. I was such a people pleaser. Such a people pleaser. Oh my goodness. And I apologized all the time, even when I didn't do anything worth apologizing. I was catching myself saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I said, I'm sorry so much that I started believing that I was a sorry person. And then I started, like, man, I had to do so much work within myself, because I really took a lot of things personal and thought everything was against me, and that because somebody else was having a bad day, it was because of something I did. So, Golden Eagle, Can behaviors we considered being part of our personality actually begin as a childhood survival response?
Yeah, we can consider them that. It definitely our behavior is a portion of our character. And so until we realize that that's what it is, it's a learned behavior through childhood experiences. Yeah, it remains our behavior regardless. Kind of like we were talking about, I think last week. And we got to be accountable for that. We gotta own that and recognize it.
So, grandson, even though you're still considered the age of a child, can childhood trauma affect the way that we love, trust, communicate, and handle conflict as an adult?
Mm, I'd say yeah, because depending on how bad it is, it can make it a lot harder to do different things.
Yeah. What do you think, divine creation? How can childhood trauma? No, 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 no. Yeah, how can childhood trauma affect the way that we love, trust, communicate, and handle conflict as adults?
Most childhood traumas I don't run across, they it's either one or the other. They either shut completely off because that's how they stay safe, or they get extra aggressive because they tired of shutting up, and they're forcing their way into being more vocal. Or if I've ran into both extremes because of childhood trauma.
Yeah. How about you, Golden Eagle? How can childhood trauma affect the way we love, trust, communicate, and handle conflict as adults?
I'm not really sure I know how, but I mean I know it does. The way we handle conflict or communicate, the way we trust and love, those are all things that are learned behaviors, and we learn that at an early age. So it's yeah, they're all learned behaviors. We learn how to do all those things as a child, and so we definitely carry that with us through life.
I remember.
Like I said, and if it's a negative thing, I mean, obviously, uh, um, poor communication or just loving the wrong way or trust issues, communication issues, things like that. Obviously, at some point as an adult, we can become more self aware and break those cycles too. It's not that that's something we're just stuck with for life. We have to recognize them first.
Hmm. I remember trust was something huge for me.
Yeah.
Communication was something huge too. And I constantly interrupted people. I'm so much better at it than I ever was when I was a child. And the reason why, like Divine Creation said, the reason why I interrupted a lot with because I was never heard. And I was always informed, people misinformed who I was because when they would explain me, they would explain me in their perception of me, not exactly who I was. And no one really understood who I was. And my words and everything didn't come out correct because sometimes in my head, how I want to say it in my head and how I vocally say it are two different things. And I know a lot of people like that, and I feel that I'm not getting my point across, so I overly would explain or I overly would try to justify for who I was or what I was saying. And trust, yeah, trust was huge for me because the people that I thought loved me really didn't, not correctly, and I didn't realize that until I got older that that wasn't normal. So yeah, I was took me a lot just to even handle things. I shut down. I do a lot. I would do a lot when I was younger because I didn't know how to do it right or correctly. Grandson, how do we recognize when we're responding to the present versus reacting from old wounds?
I don't quite know that one.
Okay. Um, divine creation. How can we recognize when we're responding from to the present instead of reacting from old wounds?
Uh, Repeat that question.
How can we recognize when we're responding to the present versus reacting from old wounds?
Uh, I would probably think that would be something more personal for the person. Um, for me, it was a new way of thought versus the old way of thought. Um, Realizing I'm still thinking with the same patterns, which means that I'm obviously using the old mind frame. But I don't know if it's that easy for other people to recognize if they're in an old pattern frame or a new pattern frame with thought. Because with me, before I really became aware, I almost didn't recognize it until somebody from the outside brought up that they done seen some change in me. And that's when I would recognize it. So I wouldn't know how to answer that question for everybody.
Okay. Golden Eagle, how about you? How do we recognize when we're responding to the present versus reacting from an old wound?
Self awareness. You know, I think about it like I know for a long time. I've been shit. Probably until just probably 6 years ago. I found it difficult just to say the words. You hurt me, or this hurt, that hurt. Even acknowledging to myself that I was hurt or wounded. I think I went through life kind of neglecting my own pain or my own hurt, my own emotions. Because for whatever reasons. Those were words that I found really difficult to even get on the tip of my tongue, let alone say you completely. And it took that. Like I said, I was in my early 40s before I realized how difficult it was for me to just say those words. When I realized it, I started trying to say it and caught myself stuttering, and I don't stutter. But the first few times when I started practicing acknowledging that my feelings were hurt, that was just a really hard thing for me to do. But I had to become more self-aware and recognize that I got feelings too. you know and they can be hurt at times. So I had to start recognizing my own pain or acknowledging to myself my own pain. Just becoming more self-aware.
Um, I like that. And for me, my answer would be, how can we recognize when we're responding to present versus reacting from old wounds? We keep the subject about the subject, what's happening at the present moment. We don't go into something that's deeper, that's beyond that moment. We don't start saying, well, and this is why 7 years ago I didn't wake up and da 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 da. Because we're not trying to take every situation and put it in as in, I'm hurt now, so I'm going to vent on everything that ever hurt me my whole entire life. We're going to fixate on what happened in the present moment, and we're going to tackle that instead of bringing up, and this is why 4 days ago that you didn't offer me a cup of coffee. We're not even talking about that today, but yet you're going to bring that up because you're still coming from that place of hurt, from an old wound. And I'm not just saying 4 days ago was old. I'm saying unhealed trauma can be wrapped up in many different things. Anger is loud, but what's underneath anger is actually quiet. But people will lash out and become angry, and they'll say this and this and this and this and this and this, and they'll mention something you did 5 years ago, even though you aren't the same person, and neither are they. But yes, because they're still hurt. They're still sitting in that spot where they haven't healed that wound yet.
Reminds me of
Different.
that
Yeah.
old saying, hurt people hurt people. Yes. you know.
Yeah.
And without acknowledging the pain itself, you can't really move past it and heal. You know, you just carry it with you because hurt people hurt people.
And you can tell, you can honestly tell because there'll be a roadmap in the conversation. They're going to lead you all the way back to home when we're not even talking about that. You'll hear them. The more you listen, the more they're going to keep going, and then all of a sudden, it's going to be about their dog that died when they were 4. They're mad about so much stuff that they haven't processed yet that they're going to vent it out in that explosive moment because they're not able to have emotional regulation where they can control their thoughts and talk about only what's affecting them right now. They're going to put it all in this beautiful basket and put a big old bow on it and say, "This is why I'm mad." When that is not why you're mad. I'm sure you're mad because of all those little things, but that is not why you're mad. It's bigger and deeper than that one thing. So, if childhood experiences taught us to question ourselves, how do we begin rebuilding trust with ourselves? And I don't know, grandson, are you going to be able to answer that one? If childhood experiences taught us to question if we're doing things right and anything else, how do we begin rebuilding trust within ourselves?
I'll be able to know.
Okay. Yeah, you're still a child. Like you're not. This is adult stuff that's going to affect you if you don't take care of it now. Divine creation. Childhood experiences taught us to question ourselves. How do we begin rebuilding trust within ourselves?
Say that again. I had walked off.
If childhood experiences taught us to question ourselves, how do we begin rebuilding trust within ourselves?
Continue to question it. It's about the only way I see it. Whether continue to question it until you believe the answers that you come up with, your own perception.
Okay. How about you, Golden Eagle? If childhood experiences taught us to question ourselves, how do we begin rebuilding trust within ourselves?
You know, I don't know if I have an answer for that, honestly. And it's not. It's funny because it kind of aligns with something I was thinking about earlier. You know, I was thinking about how in my past I've always had some pretty serious trust issues. I ain't trust anybody, and I don't just mean my significant other, but my friends. I didn't trust people. Yeah, I found it really hard to trust people because I, I've dealt with a lot of betrayal, you know, in life. But I was kind of reflecting on that and how today I don't think I really have trust issues today because I trust myself. I trust my gut, and I don't need to have an issue with my trust pertaining to anyone else as long as I do trust myself. But I still don't really know how I built on that. You know, I think yeah. So I don't know if I really have an answer to that. It's funny, but I was thinking along those lines earlier, just earlier today actually. It's easier to trust others when you trust yourself. I know that. You know, and yeah. But again, I don't really have an answer to that. That's something I still need to think on myself, I guess, because I don't know exactly what it is that got me to where I'm at today. You know, where what it was that got me to where I was then when I didn't have trust in myself. You know, um, so yeah, I think I need to. I think I need to meditate on that one. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. So,
The, re-
go ahead.
the reason I gave my answer or whatever is because questioning yourself isn't the problem. It's the answer you come up with. Whatever. If you don't question, and you'll never know what's going on or be able to observe. It's the answer you coming up with. Or whatever. So once you change that answer to I trust myself or things of that nature, you're gonna continue to question it. Or whatever, he trusts himself, so there's no need to question how he feels. Or whatever, he completely understands oneself. The person understands their self. So there's no need to question nothing else.
Ellison Webb said, that's a tough question. I lie to myself most before honestly came in. And as I got older, I think youth is a roadblock to trust. Maturity can give some tools to allow us to trust ourselves and then others. And for me, I had to tell myself, I had to let myself know that I got me now. And the reason why before I wasn't so great with me is because I knew no better. I was only going off of what I knew. So I had to let myself know that I'm not the same person anymore. And now I have clarity and more healthy boundaries, and I'm learning to love myself correctly, that I'm coming from an authentic place. So I have to trust that. And I had to really sit and have a meeting with myself and tell myself, who I was before is not who I am today. And we're all just trying to figure this out. We're all just trying to learn. And Ellison Webb says, once we trust ourselves, I think we can trust others. We trust others less. I think that's what it said. I don't know. I lost it. Let me see. Trust others less. I don't know. I trust people to be exactly who they're supposed to be. I have no expectations of that. It's whoever they're supposed to be. I allow them to be that. If I don't hold no expectation and I don't hold the ideal of them being something different, it gives me a better a safer place of standing, allowing them to be exactly who they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I feel what she's saying though too, because I think, and I mean, the way I see that is, we don't need to trust others if we trust ourselves. We don't need to count on others if we can count on ourselves. We don't need to be depend on others if we can depend on ourselves. And so the more we trust others, that kind of makes sense to me. The more we trust ourselves, the less we trust others, simply because it's no longer needed. We trust ourselves, and we don't need to trust anything other than that. If we know if we have faith in ourselves and confidence in ourselves, then then yeah, we need less of that in others.
I see where you guys are coming from, and you guys are coming from the standpoint of like putting authority on someone else over your own well-being. Like if you got you, then it don't matter what other somebody else does because you got
Right,
you at the end of the day.
right.
So I can receive that, and I'm still gonna need people. I'm still going to need people. I still want to trust people. I want to trust you, Jared, to come on here every single time. I want to trust my family members to come on and protect too. I want this to go bigger than what it really is. So I really want to trust people also to believe in that too, because everybody needs to heal. There's so many people walking around this world don't realize that they aren't healed and they're just passing it on. I see it every single day on social media. They're passing that trauma on to the next individual, and it's you're calling your child outside of their name because you've been called outside of your name. That's not healthy. A child don't know hate. A child don't know pain. A child don't know anything that's heavy. Yet we teach it that. We put it upon that until the world has a chance to doing it. We're already doing it to them. And I think that it needs to stop. And I think that this world really does need accountability. And they need to start looking at themselves in the mirror and realizing that the world is the way it is because of us. and they don't really care about us. So we got to start caring about us. So I trust. I trust people to be exactly who they're going to be, and I'm not going to put them all in that basket. But I believe the universe gave me the people that are supposed to be in my life to help me grow for a reason. And I'm grateful. So I get it both ways. I get both ways. Can you heal without receiving an apology, accountability, closure from the person who hurt us? Golden Eagle.
Yeah, we can. We can. I mean, I think it, those things can assist in the healing process. You know, it's always a little easier to move past it when somebody shows some accountability and owns their actions, apologizes for hurting you or for whatever it is that you feel wrong for. But you can still find forgiveness whether you get an apology or accountability or not. You can still you can still heal from it. That's for sure. So yeah.
Divine creation. Can we heal without receiving an apology, accountability, or closure from the person that hurt us?
Uh, you mean closure as in personal, or you talking to the person and y'all figuring something out? Because I don't believe in allowing somebody else to control my healing.
That.
So if you need to talk to the person to heal, then no, I don't believe it. But if you can reconcile with everything that you observed on your own, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters, your observation, not the observation of what somebody else has for your eyes. So it's how you perceive the situation. As long as you can come up with that with your own, yeah. But if you need somebody else, no.
I forgave every single person, including my biological mom and the person that tried taking me out of this realm. I forgave them and I forgave myself. I didn't forgive them because of my ego or my pride or because I wanted them to feel better about themselves. I never personally told them. I forgave them because I'm not allowing myself to hold on to the agreement of there's like soul ties. There's like these chains that we put upon someone that done something to us. And I'm not going to allow that to weigh me down. I'm going to forgive and I'm going to forget. I will still speak on it because it's important to be able to speak on it without putting myself into it. I speak on it now as a third party, as if it's something I witnessed, not my me personally happening to me. So I have, and I do believe that we can actually heal without receiving it from another person. My ego does not have an issue in this. Everybody has an ego, but I don't have a problem with mine. I'm not coming from pride and ego, and you have to tell me you're wrong and I'm right, and you have to take accountability for the things that you do. I know a lot of people that are like that, and that will tell you, oh well, you didn't say you're sorry, and you aren't taking accountability for what you do. I'm over here all the time saying what I do wrong, but you're never once going to take accountability. I don't have to. I did it. If I repeat it, it becomes a pattern. Then I have to address it, bring it to my attention, and I will address it. But at the end of the day, because someone did it doesn't mean you have to hold them to it. That's not my place. It's too heavy. I don't want that in my life. So I lost one of my things, one of my questions. I'm just going to skip this one, and then this is pretty long, so I'm going to look on it with my phone to see what Allison said. But Allison said, I think healing past those things leave a colossus or
Callous.
callus. Healing is growing, but it doesn't stop the hurt or the memory of the hurt. It makes us more cautious to prevent someone from rubbing the callus. into another blister. We forgive to allow ourselves to grow, but still preventing the access to allow someone else to claim harm. And I don't think you're wrong for feeling that way. I can't say that's exactly how I feel though. I do not put no one on the same slate. Everybody has a clean slate with me. Everybody does. And if you've done me wrong once before, it doesn't mean you're going to do the same thing 10 years from now because you're not the same person and I'm not the same person. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean I'm going to be in your presence neither to find out because I choose me. So, what do you think? Did you answer that one, Golden Eagle? Can we heal without receiving an apology? Oh, you did?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We can. In fact, yeah, I don't feel like we need anybody but ourselves when it comes to healing. We
Yep.
need to be able to like I said, to forgive and move past. We need, in fact, like the closure thing, man. We don't need closure with that person. Sometimes people won't give us that. Sometimes people don't show accountability. Sometimes people don't own their own actions. You could tell them they hurt you, and they'll tell you, "No, I didn't," as if they know your feelings. But sometimes that's how we have our closure, is just knowing that's not something they're gonna offer us. It has to be something we offer ourselves.
You know what helped me with closure is realizing I told myself it couldn't happen any other way because it didn't. It happened the way it happened because that's the way it was supposed to happen. That's every single thing in my life. It happened that way because that's how it was supposed to happen. That was the closure I needed. Because me sitting in that pain and me dwelling on that pain and me wanting to try to rewrite that pain does not help me in my healing. And it does not lessen that pain. Once it's done, it's done. You can't undo something that's already done. You can prevent it from happening again, though. You can protect yourself in a way of stop letting patterns and stop letting unexcusable behavior continue and beating you down. But at the end of the day, remove this yourself from that situation. What did she say there? Can you see it, Golden Eagle? I put it on the screen. Oh, you're muted, sweetheart.
She said it's definitely a defense mechanism. However, I fall in love with real people and real souls pretty quickly. She also said, mad love and respect to the whole panel. Right back at you, Allison.
Yes. So can childhood trauma affect the how we receive love and when someone is genuinely trying to love us in a healthy way? Golden Eagle?
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like Allison was just saying. It can those old wounds, man. Those can leave scars or calluses. And we can be we can pick up defense mechanisms or defense traits. Defensive traits to protect ourselves that are more like those survival modes that we learn, and sometimes it can prevent us from actually allowing ourselves to be loved properly.
How about you, Divine Creation? Can childhood trauma affect the way we receive love and when someone is genuinely trying to love us in a healthy way?
Yeah, until I truly forgave, then yeah, because once you truly forgive, you don't feel that hurt anymore.
Mhm.
You observe patterns, and you won't even take yourself down that pattern to even become hurt again. Correctly. Most people don't, but supposedly, if you pay attention, observe the patterns, then you'll see the patterns before you even get hurt the second or third time or whatever. Supposedly, most people got to get hurt me third or fourth, fifth time before I realized it was a pattern.
Yeah.
Um, but of course. That's my opinion or whatever. I noticed that I was still in pain until I truly forgave people. Well, till I really forgave myself for dealing with their ass. I ain't gonna say forgiving them, for forgiving myself for even allowing them to be who they be around me because they're gonna be who they be regardless. Whatever. So I just forgive myself for having them around me, and because that's why ultimately I need to trust myself, not trust them. I don't
Yeah.
give a damn about trusting them or whatever. I let them show me who they are, and
Facts.
I trust that. So I do trust people. I trust
Yep.
you to be exactly who you are at
Period.
that point in time or whatever, not exactly who I want you to be.
Period.
Whatever. So once I changed to that, it became it might have became sad, but it became a whole lot easier to trust. It might have became sad because I realized I can't trust that many, or like I want to. I have to trust them for what they are, or whatever versus what I wanted them to be.
Ellison Webb said, after trauma, do you think we're more receptive to people who have real healthy love for us? I think we are. We know the patterns and speak of real versus fake. And the thing is, though, I've never experienced healthy love, not in a personal relationship when it comes to a mate. I haven't experienced that yet. So, for the longest time, when I was younger, I had healthy love and I wasn't ready to receive it. And I was the type of person that thought the grass was greener on the other side. And I'm grateful because they got a beautiful life now. And we're two different people. But as I got older, my healthiest relationships and my healthiest loves are from my family members that I've never had any kind of intimacy whatsoever with. That's the healthy love I get. And I don't know if it's because the stipulations are different. Like they don't expect a lot from me, more than they would expect from me if I was their mate, and they just accept me for who I am. I can't tell you why that is. But at the end of the day, my family that the universe gave me is my only healthy love that I've had my whole entire life. So, and that's because I think I didn't love myself correctly, and my standards and my boundaries were pretty messed up. I didn't have any, and I gave everybody a chance. And what you should give everybody a chance, but not everybody's on the same playing field. Not everybody's on the same alignment and frequency. And I didn't learn that until I got older. I didn't learn that until actually this year. I'm just gonna be real with you. I didn't learn that at all until this year. How can we tell the difference between intuition warning us, or trauma response trying to protect us? And I'm going to answer this real quick. If we healed, we're going to know that it's our intuition. If we're unhealed, everything is going to be a trauma response. That's my opinion. What about you, Golden Eagle? How can we
Yeah,
tell the difference?
I didn't really have an answer for that, but you just gave it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, because yeah, that was a tough one to me. I was kind of finding myself like, damn, how do we know the difference? And that's kind of in my mind. That's all I could come up with too was as a healed individual, we know that we can trust our intuition.
Yeah.
And yeah, you worded that perfectly.
Do you
That's
have something different, divine creation?
And yes, pretty much what you said for the most part. Besides, I've noticed that like my intuition doesn't come as like a screaming aha anxiety like voice, where it comes as like for me like a calm curiosity for me to
Mm,
dive into or whatever, versus when it's something that I might not heal from it. I I know the answer already or whatever. I've noticed that I already know type feeling. Ain't no other explanation for it. You don't even have to tell me no more. I already know where this is going. That's that trauma type shit or whatever. So once I feel that, I kind of, even if I still feel it in my head, I shut up. and allow the world or the universe to show me exactly what it is. And a lot of times I catch myself like a lot of times lately or whatever, I catch myself like, oh shit, glad I ain't say that out loud or whatever, So now for me or whatever, it comes as a loud voice when it's not in, I wouldn't say trauma, but something that reminds me of the past. It comes as this loud aha voice versus when it's my intuition, it's almost like a question.
No, I don't see the I apologize. And you're correct, divine creation. No, Christy, I don't see Instagram until I pop that screen up. It's two separate screens on my end. So I'm only on the StreamYard screen. And that's mostly just for viewing. I don't can't respond off of that. It doesn't show me it until I pop it up. So apologize. But thank you for joining us. And Allison said, she said, I believe that 100%. And then Christy said, hey, Queen, I was commenting on Instagram, but I don't think you could see it. I couldn't. And then they're talking amongst each other. So this next question, I have a whole bunch to say about it. So I'm going to ask you first, Golden Eagle. Can understanding why someone caused us pain help us heal without excusing what they did?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know personally, I've had times where I had been hurt or wronged, and I understood why. Like, it goes back to, like I said, hurt people, and and there were cases where I knew the pain I caused them was why they returned the favor. I also knew that. I mean, there were times where I know it. I understood that they were reacting out of through childhood trauma, and those learned behaviors, and so they were still hurt people. They were hurt as a child, and that's why they behave the way they do today. Sometimes, or then. I shouldn't say today because I can't speak on how they behave today, but
Right.
at that time, they were they were they, they were dealing with their own childhood trauma and those learned behaviors, that survival mode, and that's why they reacted or responded the way they did and hurt me, and so it, given, I guess, having the understanding, it helped me. It made it easier for me to find some kind of acceptance in it, which definitely helped with my own healing. So 'cause you got to have acceptance, that's for sure. I think without that you might not ever really properly heal. You got to find some kind of acceptance in it and be okay with the fact that you were hurt. You got to just accept it for that. You know, got to accept pain just as much as we got to accept love too.
Hmm.
Otherwise we won't receive it if we don't. So yeah.
I agree. Divine creation. Can understanding why someone caused us pain help us heal without excusing why they did it?
For me, hell no. I don't give a damn why they did it or whatever, back in the day, yeah. I guess it didn't heal. It just made me deal with their ass more, making more excuses for their ass or whatever. Me personally, that shit ain't do nothing for me. That's their journey or whatever. What I'm supposed to do, me personally, what I'm supposed to do is observe what I'm going through, how it's making me feel, and if I want to go through this anymore. Now, if they want help with their issue, um, and they ask for guidance, help, assistance, something like that, of course, because that's also what I'm here for. But I'm not here to. I will no longer like be that. Hey, you all right? Hey, what's wrong? Hey, what's wrong? Hey, you all right? Hey, what's wrong? I will never be that guy again because at the end of the day, that ain't for me. At the end of the day, that's
Right.
your issue. So if you don't want to tell nobody, you want to go through it yourself. That's part of your journey. Hey, who am I to get upset that you won't make your journey possibly easier or whatever, But I'm gonna move out the way at the same time, though.
So
So that's my take.
I'm gonna agree. 100% with divine creation. At the end of the day, understanding why someone caused us pain isn't going to help me heal. The why doesn't help. It's the why I keep allowing it, why I keep putting myself in it. That's the why that I need. Why do I keep surrounding myself? It's something within me because I'm all about a reflective. I overanalyze everybody, anyways. I'm just letting you know right now. I already analyzed every single person in my life more than once. I overly analyze people. I already have you on a couch with your feet popped up, and I already gave you therapy without you even knowing in my head. I do it constantly to everybody, even the person that just said hi to me when they were out outside. I was outside walking the dog. I'm just like, oh yeah, I already know all about you too. That's just kind of brain I have. I already analyze everybody, and I don't mean to. It's just who I am. But at the end of the day, understanding why someone did something, the only way it would help me heal is realizing why I'm reflecting that because we mirror each other. So, what is something in me that's still causing me to reflect that, to have that in my life, to allow this to still be in my presence? Because I'm telling you, just this year, I've changed so much on how I see people and how I feel. And next year, my whole life is going to be different. Promise you. The only people that are going to be in my life is the family that the universe blessed me with and my spawn, my blood, like that part. But that's it because I, I got to change. I got to remove myself from my environment and move on because I can't allow somebody else's unhealed version of themselves to affect who I am as an individual. If that's not what I'm reflecting, because I'm all about, you must see it within me or something. So I'm gonna can you read what they wrote, Golden Eagle, for me, love? You're muted, babe.
Yeah, see, Christy Farley said the body holds trauma. We have to go through hard lessons to go to a higher level. Golden Eagle, you're spot on. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, that's unlearn those bad habits.
Yeah. So we got three more. How can unhealed trauma, how can unhealed childhood trauma be unintentionally passed down to our children or to the people closest to us? Golden Eagle, do you know?
Yeah, I do. Um, yeah. Um, I guess obviously I can only speak on myself, but I know I've passed down poor communication skills to my children, and I know I picked that up from my mother. Even today, myself and my mother, we're both working on that. We've definitely come a long ways, but I know like when my kids were young, I had a bad habit of saying instead of saying I'm not happy with this, I'd say I'm angry. You know, and I'd use more words than that. It wasn't the most healthiest communication. So one of my biggest regrets actually is is just not really showing them the healthiest form of communication and expression. I wish I'd done a lot better at that. But I know those were learned behaviors too. And even today, I'm still working on breaking that cycle. I see how it's been passed down to me too, and unfortunately, I think I made the same mistakes. So yeah,
I
so
love that for you. I'm so proud of you. I'm extremely proud of you from who you used to be to who you are today, and there's the accountability of who you're becoming. I'm just proud of you.
thank you.
So, divine creation. How can unhealed childhood trauma be unintentionally passed down to our children or the people that are closest to us?
Monkey see, monkey do. Misery loves company.
Yeah.
and that's unintentional. You know, people don't even know whatever they feel like. You know, it's oh I made it. I made it. I'm alive. I'm strong. You know, you can go through it too or whatever. This is what I went through, and it didn't kill me. What don't hurt you make you stronger. You know, all these weird sayings that we embrace conditions us to just keep following trend instead of breaking cycles. You
That
know, I broke the cycle with or breaking the cycle with, my parents. The only time we talked to them when it was something that needed to be done from us or from them. Whatever, other than that, pretty much wasn't no talking going on between us once you reached about 10, unless I needed them to do something for me or they needed something me to do something for them or whatever, well, me or whatever, I just be talking to my kids. I straight up tell them, yeah, I know y'all mad that I'm talking in the middle of y'all anime. I don't give a damn. Y'all can rewind it or whatever, like they'll laugh and chuckle and I keep talking or whatever. Or I'll be like, oh yeah, I only been talking for the extra 30 minutes because I saw you roll your eyes or whatever. And I had to show you how much I didn't care or whatever. Like I purposely say that or whatnot, because they need to know how to they almost don't even know what to do with it. The first couple of weeks they was around, it was more like that was alien to them. Well, versus now, I walk out the room and they just start talking. And, I won't even know halfway what the hell they talking about or whatever, but they'll start talking like I do know what they talking about. And that's what I wanted to open up to. So that's how I'm killing it.
okay. So, and I loved some of the things you said, and I wish I can implement those and screen. I'm gonna probably screen record it and have it passed on down, if you don't mind. I would love to. Hopefully, the universe lets my spawn stumble across that because he needs to hear that, because there's things that he's saying to his that's not, I don't know, that's passing on generational trauma that should be broke. It should have been broke with me. I realized what I did, and it hurt his feelings, and my intent wasn't to hurt his feelings, but every time I would say something, I'm like, man, you're so intelligent, but you couldn't complete high school. You did ninth grade 3 years in a row. You can roll a joint with one hand, but you couldn't do that, and I didn't realize that was hurting him, because he was already beat himself up over the fact that it happened. And I was young when I had him, so it wasn't, and I'm not making excuses at the end of the day. Now that I'm older though, and I realized it, I wish I wouldn't have done that, because he'll say things like, well, I grew up without my dad and I'm fine. Look at me. It'll just toughen him up and make him a better person. I'm a great person because of it. And, da, 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 da. And that's not cool. None of that's cool. And I wanted the buck to stop with me, and it didn't. So, and it didn't stop with my son either, because I'm glad grandson dipped for a second, but he gets upset, and when he gets upset, he shuts down. Instead of saying, okay, I might have done it, I'm taking accountability for it, he shuts completely down, gets mad, and just he will block you and like you never existed. Quick. And that's not a good way to handle things. Go ahead, divine creation.
Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say, but shutdown isn't, maybe because I had something to say with shutdown, so I forgot what I was gonna originally say. But shutdown isn't the issue. What you do during that shutdown, like feeling like the world is against you instead of observing yourself, is the deciding factor during that shutdown. Because even say peace be still, so the shutdown is actually a smart thing, but is when people sit in their head and they're shut down and they say, is everybody against them during their shutdown? Are people trying to help them during their shutdown? It's like those thoughts that we don't get to hear or see. That's the deciding factor between going right and left or straight. Um, So I commend the shutdown, especially if it's stopping him from doing something irrational at that point of time. But if during that shutdown he's just confirming in his head, which it almost seems like that the world don't get him, the world don't understand, F the world is just me against the world, then yeah, his actions are always gonna be defensive and to us probably look like unruly.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to jump on Thursdays, and Thursdays we'll talk about it because Thursday we're gonna talk about the polyvagal theory, and that has to do with shutdown. So that's perfect. I'm gonna see if he'll jump on Thursdays, and we'll find out. I don't want to beat him up in public, but I would like to know. So what does this is our last question? What does healing from childhood trauma mean to you, Golden Eagle?
It means a better me.
Yeah. What does it mean to you, divine creation?
What was the question again?
What does healing from childhood trauma mean to you?
Hmm. Hmm. I ain't thought about it. Power. Healing didn't give me that. Healing opened up the avenue for me to move towards my power. Um, yeah, clear the blockage. Blockages move. There we go.
For me, healing from childhood trauma allowed me to free myself, from the old versions of me, from the things that I got beating myself up over. I don't want to hold onto anything of this realm. Not like that. I want to release myself from it. I want to free myself so I can be connected to source. And so I don't keep repeating cycles. I don't want to come back here. So for me, healing childhood trauma is a release. It really was a release so I could be a better version of me. It's freeing. Them are not my chains. Them are not the things that need to bind me. There's more important things in this world. Living. I would love to love living instead of beat myself up for something I couldn't change. Golden Eagle, could you please read the reflective?
Maybe some of the things we've judged ourselves for deserve to be understood before they're judged. Some behaviors may have started as protection.
Can I pause you for a second? Can
Yep.
you move your hand where you're holding your hand?
Oh,
You
yep.
go ahead.
Got it. Some walls may have once provided safety. Some reactions may have developed before we had the words to explain what we were feeling. Understanding where these patterns came from doesn't mean they have to control where we're going. We cannot change the childhood we experienced. We can become aware of what we carried from it and choose what we continue carrying. So tonight, ask yourself, did my childhood teach me how to live, or did it teach me how to survive? And if I learned how to survive, am I ready to learn what it means to truly live?
Mm, okay. So I want to read the bridge real quick. Tonight we're talked about what can happen when childhood experiences follow us into childhood. Now there's another part of this conversation. Sometimes we understand that we're safe, yet our body reacts before our mind has time to catch up. We fight, we run, we freeze, we shut down. So what is happening inside the body during those moments? Thursday, we're continuing this conversation with the polyvagal theory as we explore the ventral vagal, the sympathetic, and the dorsal vagal states of the nervous system. Tonight, we ask, what did I carry with me? Thursday, we're asking, what did my nervous system learn to do to protect me? So let's leave with a positive message. What would your positive message be, Golden Eagle?
Um, just stay focused. That's all. Stay focused and do better. We can all do that. Little one step at a time, a little bit day by day. We can be better selves. We can be better for those around us. We got to stay focused on just doing that.
Divine creation positive message.
Love, learn, observe, and be happy like a child. Children don't care who they trust or whatever. They just observe. They see that adult did something and the adult reached their way. They like, nah, nah, I ain't like what you just did or whatever. Nah, it ain't about trust. It's about, nah, I ain't like what you did. Kids have the best imagination. They'll love you to life. Whatever, like everything about a child is the exact way to go. Maybe even some of the immaturity or whatever, so you can keep your imagination.
So my positive message is it's easier to protect a child's inner child, their child while they're a child, than it is to fix a damaged an adult. Think about that. It's easier to keep a child than it is to fix a damaged adult. So protect that. Protect that child while it's a child. Do better. So tonight wasn't about living in the past. It was about understanding how the past may still be showing in our present. Awareness gives us the opportunity to recognize our patterns, understand our responses, rebuilding trust within ourselves, and decide what we can and we want to carry forward. Thank you to everyone who shared and everyone who listened and everyone who showed up for this conversation. Join us on Thursday as we continue the polyvagal theory and explore how our nervous systems respond to safety and perceived danger. Make sure you follow us and subscribe and check out our website and become part of our growing family where love is the answer. We're the ears that were listening, where your opinion matters. And thank you for taking time out of your day to come heal with us. May your night be full of positive energy, filled with high vibrations and peace and love, everyone. Peace,
Peace,
peace.
peace.
Peace, peace.
Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people, rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective, it's a collective. Get to the bottom where the truth is, where the heart's uncovered. Where you detox from all of the lies you smothered. Where them tries could have killed you, but with faith you recover. Yup. Peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so